If you want to take your one-shot samples to the next level, this video is for you. Consider this a masterclass on one-shot samples inside of FL Studio. What we're going to do firstly is understand the difference between one-shot samples and multi-samples. So in our new Beatmaker blueprint at busyworksbeats.com/beatmaker, this is our new Beatmaker blueprint. It comes with 500 plus one-shots, 400 plus drum sounds from hip hop, pop, reggaeton, and we also have MIDI, and I have forces in there added as well to the bonus. So what we're going to do here is use a one-shot. And most people use one shots like this. They'll load up a sample. So let's right click, open this up in a new channel. And let's say you want to stretch this across the keys. You could, if you're a beginner, most people will just play the notes, which is basically the same thing as just right clicking, going to cut itself. So now you can overlap the notes. But the problem with this is you hear they start overlapping. Okay, so how do you fix that? You can go to the envelope here, turn up your hold parameter, turn everything else down. Okay, so you get the concept there. And you can also go to the wrench tool, turn up what's called portamento to create a pitch bend. You can turn this up to exaggerate. So you can load this up right in the sampler and do a lot. You can also add some delay. Let's turn the feedback up for the delay and change the style to ping pong mode. Now for this to work, you have to hold the notes down. If I let go, it won't just delay. It won't keep delaying. So not the full control of a true delay, which is you hit a note and it delays. It's kind of like built into the sample. So the moment you let go of that key, it stops delaying. You can also use this for arpeggios. Now, what people overlook is the chord mode here. You can go to chord, sustain, auto. Auto chord, which is the chord that you're playing, or you could do a specific chord type and just hold one note. So let's say your favorite chord is a minor ninth. You could just hold one note. So you can do a lot with one shots. The next thing is there's a built-in filter here under Mod X. Okay, if you lower this, it's built to be a low pass. So you can muffle the sound here. And the Mod Y is the resonance, which adds an EQ boost in your low cut filter. To change that, you can go to your envelope tab and change the filter type here. Now, usually, again, it's set to a low pass filter by default. Okay, so you can switch it to a band pass. So it's up to you. Now you can also change the root note. Now this is a little more complex and I wouldn't do it every single time, but you could change the root note here under the envelope tab, hit reset and then right click to change the root note. So I'm hitting the same note on my keyboard, but it's playing a different note. And that's important for if you do key changes and you quickly just want to shift the key without changing the MIDI. That's the way you would do it. So let's take off these effects and kind of reset it back to normal. Okay, so let's reset. Now I'm gonna show you a different way that people take this and they make a sampler instrument out of it. So you could take this one-shot sample, okay, and you could right-click, create a direct wave instrument. Okay, now what it does is, let me free up some screen real estate here. It loads up what's called a direct wave instrument. So now it's stretched that one sample across the keyboard. Now there's only one issue with this is that the time stretch will make it sound unnatural. So to demonstrate this, we're gonna grab some MIDI from busyworksbeats.com/beatmaker. Again, I've literally made it super easy for anybody to get started making beats. I've given you all the sounds you need, all the MIDI that you're gonna get started with. I gave you the one shots to load up your own instruments. Let's do like a playful style chord progression. We're gonna drag this in. Let's compare what it sounds like before multi-samples and then after multi-samples. This first take is just using one sample and stretching that sample across the 88 keys. This second take is taking multiple samples, which we have for you in the new Beatmaker blueprint. You can drag and drop these into direct wave. And again, we'll have an update that has this done for you, so you don't have to do any of the work. They're auto mapped to work perfectly in direct wave, FL Studio, and Logic Pro, Ableton. Okay, so these are octave samples. The advantage these have is more detail, and you guys are gonna hear this here. So this is the first take, just using only one sample and stretching it across. The problem you'll hear very quickly is that it wasn't designed to stretch very far in frequency. So the sound cuts off. Here's after. This was its intended sound. It's night and day difference. Okay, so again, this is stretching one sample across all the octaves. The second take has the octave sampled perfectly for you. It's a night and day difference. So that's the difference you get with multi-samples versus just using one-shot samples. So as mentioned in the video earlier, I'm going to show you almost everything you could do with one-shots. So the next thing, now that I've covered those, we're going to open up a one-shot and create a loop. Let's right-click, open in Edit in Audio Editor. And here we can see it in Edison. I'd recommend changing your snap to 0 crossing. This will prevent any clicks and pops. We're going to left-click and just select the zone. You don't have to know where to select just yet. Go to your Regions tab, go to Set Loop. What this will do is loop this specific section. Make sure you turn on loop mode so you can hear what it sounds like it looped. So you hear how it resets. Okay, what most people don't realize is if I drag this into the channel rack, into what's called a sampler, I can actually switch out the style of looping. So I can go to use loop points. We could do ping pong loops, okay, which is a backwards and forward type loop. And then you mess with what's called a crossfade. Let's use a higher sample, higher frequency. Okay, so to quickly do this, you would just open up an editor, audio editor, grab a section, set a loop point, okay, and just drag this back inside of your sampler. So now it has these loop markers. We're going to use loop points. And now I'm playing keys on my typing keyboard. And you hear it click. Okay, so that's what crossfading's for. Now we don't hear that click because of what's called a crossfade. So now I'm holding a note, but the note keeps playing. So now you can play chords. And the sound feels like it's evolving because it's looping at different points in time, instead of just playing as a one shot. Because if I play the same sound without looping it, it sounds like this. I'm playing Holly. Hear how the sound ends? Because we didn't set what are called loop points. Once you have loop points, it sounds like this. And you can play it as long as you want. So that's how you loop a one-shot sample if you wanted that specific tone. The best quality you're gonna get is, again, with these direct wave instruments that I'll create for you in the next update for the Beatmaker Blueprint. We're gonna have this mapped out for you so you don't have to do any of the work. But literally all you have to do, you would go into your browser, hit Shift, highlight these, drag them into direct wave. It auto maps to the key zones automatically. So that's what I'll be doing for you in the next Beatmaker Blueprint update at busyworks.com/beatmaker. Okay, so the next thing with one shots is loading these up as reverb. You're like, reverb? Yes. So let's take this. This would be a cool one. Let's drag that in. And again, the sample's super long, so I'm going to fade this out. So now when I play one note, you're hearing two tones. And it makes that playing one note sound more interesting. Let's go back to our flute. Let's right click, open this up in a new channel. What we can do now is go to the wrench tool, turn on what's called monophonic mode. This will allow us to play one note. So if I'm tapping all these notes, it only plays one note at a time. Now the next feature we're gonna add is called portamento, so we can pitch bend between notes. And also we need to turn off what's called cut itself. So make sure you right click your sample, take it off of cut itself, or this won't work. So now you can hear pitch bends. But the problem is the sample keeps playing and then it fades out. So we need to go to the envelope tab, turn up the hold parameter, turn everything else down. And now we can use this as if it were. Now again, if you overlap the notes, it considers it the same sample. And so it's just pitching the sample up and down until it fades. So that's how you can make this into a lead sound without looping anything. But you can hear if I play the sample, it just will fade out. So in order to hold that, you have to edit in Audio Editor, grab the sample, set a loop point. Okay, we're gonna drag this back into the sample, and then you're gonna have to mess with the crossfade here until you get to the perfect crossfade. And now I can hold notes. And that's how you turn these one shots into complete beasts. So also people don't look at the pre-computed tab. There's a boost knob here. If you guys wanna make gritty, distorted basses, Okay, so now you get that gritty, aggressive sound. Next thing we're gonna use is the Fruity Slicer. Now, rarely would I use it on a one shot, but it's cool when you slice up the one shot and then combine that with the arpeggio, you get really unique sounds. And open up what's called the Fruity Granulizer, and just mess with the wave spacing and the grain spacing to create the texture for the sound. So now we're getting almost like a pseudo psychoacoustic sound that really get the most out of your one shots. Crate by Waves. Okay, so you get the concept there. I'm going to update the new Beatmaker blueprint here with direct wave instruments. You could load straight up into FL Studio. It will have the effects turned on for you. So all you have to do is just play the notes. But again, if you wanted to use the one shots that you already have, and you could just highlight these, hit shift, left click to highlight, just drag and drop onto the key zones here, and it will map it out for you there. I'll be doing all the hard work for you in the new Beatmaker blueprint. Right at busyworksbeats.com/beatmaker. We have 500 one shots. We have 400 drum sounds in here. Project templates for you, MIDI laid out for you, Serum presets laid out for you. It's all there. Okay, so just go to busyworksbeats.com/beatmaker. Peace out, guys.